Good morning, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Reel to Reel. I'm Alex Redding, and joining me is Ian Rivers. How you doing this morning, Ian?
I'm doing good, Alex, and I hope everyone in our audience is having a good Friday so far.
All right, I know. And we are, too, because we're going to give another movie review. And so, hey, let's check out the trailer to see what we got on tap for us today.
Baby, you don't know what you're saying.
So what brings you down then?
I'm studying London College of Fashion.
Room is on the top floor.
It's perfect. I love it. If I could live any place and any time, I'd live here in London in the 60s. Last night, I saw something in my dreams. There was a girl.
And you are?
Sandy.
I got this kind of gift. I can see people, places, things others can't.
This is the closest most people ever get to their dreams.
They're not just dreams.
Jack, I don't want to do this.
You think you can just walk away?
They really happened.
What did you see?
Do you believe in ghosts? I want to report a murder.
You witnessed the murder last night, but you believe this was a vision from the past.
The guy that killed her is still out there. I have to stop him.
Where are you going?
I know what you did.
I've done a lot of things. You're gonna have to be more specific, love.
You can't save me.
Last Night in Soho is the latest British psychological film directed by Edgar Wright, starring Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Jessie Mee Lee, as well as Diana Rigg, along with Matt Smith, Michael Ajayo, and Terence Stamp.
The film takes place in England and starts off with Eloise, who is played by Thomasin McKenzie, dancing in her room full of excitement, knowing that she's about to leave her grandma's country home and head into the big city of London to attend a school for fashion design. And, well, she's there. She happens to find herself having difficulty fitting in with fellow students in her dorm.
With that being said, she chooses to relocate to an old apartment complex where on the first night, while she falls asleep, she finds herself in a dream witnessing a beautiful young woman named Sandy, who is played by Anya Taylor-Joy, living in a glamorous life in the 1960s with multiple men admiring her beauty.
Eloise wakes up next morning feeling confused yet satisfied about what she just experienced in her dream. Eloise repeatedly experiences this cycle of dreams happening over and over, and being a witness to Sandy. However, as the dreams continue, the many men that repeatedly interact with Sandy start to come off more aggressive for her attention.
The film also shows how these experiences in Eloise's dreams are starting to affect not only her performance in school, but her well-being amongst her other characters that she has class with. But to see more on her story, let's take a look at a movie clip.
Thank you so much.
Well, hello there.
The bartender said I should get to know the handsome fella standing next to Cilla Black.
You should. And you are?
The next, Cilla Black.
are you now? Well, you know, she started out as a coach girl. You willing to work your way up?
Of course.
What can I get you to drink?
It's Sandy, and I'd love a Vespa.
James, we'd love a Vespa. So what do you do, Sandy?
Well, I sing, of course.
How's your dancing?
Care for a demonstration?
Edgar Wright first conceived the idea for Last Night in Soho in 2007. He pitched the plot to producers Neera Park and Rachel Pryor before the start of the filming for The World's End back in 2013, describing it as a dark Valentine to London and the Soho neighborhood.
Growing up in Somerset, Wright listened to his parents' stories of coming of age in the 1960s, which contributed to him being enamored with the era. He nurtured his obsession through their 1960s record collection, saying he would sort of almost just disappear into that decade through the music. But Wright recalls that his mother's recollections of swinging 60s London were not always fond memories. Recalling her story, I went to Soho once and with my friend, and we got harassed by a man and chased out, and that's the end of the story.
Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Well, Wright's own obsession with the 1960s London landscape helped shape the themes of The Last Night in Soho. And he said, something that I find truly nightmarish, and I guess there's an element where I'm sort of giving a sharp rebuke to myself, and is the danger of being overtly nostalgic about previous decades. In a way, the film is about romanticizing the past and why it's wrong to do that. I mean, what do you think on that?
Well, British films in the 1960s were also a source of inspiration for Wright, saying a lot of films in that period are about the darker side of Soho or about a show business. You still have to question where they're coming from because there's a lot of them which are more of the sensationalistic ones that take this kind of punitive approach to female characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of movies too where it seems that the genre is girl comes to London to make it big and is roundly punished for her efforts.
True, but this is one of the best that I've seen in a while, especially for period piece. I really like period piece movies a lot.
Yeah, I guess, but that's true. I do enjoy period pieces as well. But anyways, we'll be back after a short commercial.
3, 2, 1.
With what's happening today with smartphones, everybody has the ability to shoot video. But not everybody has the ability to edit that video and communicate a thought and idea in a professional way with high production value. That's where we come in. This particular program allows a student to do single cam productions, multi-cam productions, short films, corporate promos, things like that. So there's a lot of different things that a student can learn in the video production area.
What I love here is the practical work that I can learn. It's like a non-pressure environment, and I like that about it.
All those things that you're not going to learn unless you do it. You can read about it in a book, but that's not going to help you when you're on set.
The movie is written by Edgar Wright and Crystal Wilson Cairns. Crystal Wilson Cairns was a major help since she lived and worked as a bartender in Soho for 5 years. And back in June of 2016, Wright and Wilson Cairns were walking down the bars of Soho when he pitched the idea for the film. In December of 2017, after Wright's previous film, Baby Driver, press tours ended up finishing, and he thought briefly of whether or not he wanted to make a sequel to Baby Driver, but he decided that he wanted to go a completely different direction instead for his next film.
Wright and Wilson Cairns began writing screenplays, or this screenplay, as well as interviewing people who lived and worked on the streets of Soho in the 60s, as well as people who currently live and work on the streets of Soho, to get the story as accurate as possible. Now, Last Night in Soho was originally going to be titled Red Light Area.
What?
And then The Night Has a Thousand Eyes, but ultimately was named Last Night in Soho since it is originally from a 1968 hit single by British pop band Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Tick.
Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Tick. Well, that sounds quite entertaining. Hey, you know what? Let's take another look from the movie with a short clip.
Last night, I saw something in my dreams. I can see people, faces, things others can't.
Last Night in Soho is a psychological thriller, and I'm certainly a huge fan of that genre.
There was a girl.
And you are?
Sandy.
The inspiration for a lot of my movies is sometimes just the longing, the yearning for a genre that I miss. There's a certain feeling that I get from the films from the 60s and 70s that thrilled me when I was younger. So magic that I would like to try and recapture.
If I could live any place and any time, I'd live here in London in the 60s.
Like Eloise in the movie, I'm sort of obsessed with going back in time. And I think making the film is me trying to cure myself from my desire to go back to the 1960s.
All right, so now it is time to give our reviews about The Last Night in Soho. For me, I love the movie as it just had me in my seat dying to know really more about Ellie's strange dreams and in the past and really wondering what happened back then. I really liked period pieces. And my only problem with the film was the length of it. I really can't stand sitting in my seat for longer than about maybe 90 minutes. I mean, Tenet was pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't too bad, but still, could be better. And, you know, the other thing I'm going to say is, I mean, parts of the film really didn't make sense for me. And because of that, because I like the period piece part of it, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 reels. I'm going to be generous here. But there were things that just were not working out for me. Now, I will throw in another positive trinket in here. I thought the lighting was pretty good in this movie. What do you think about that, Ian?
I think the lighting was pretty good. I agree with that. One thing that predominantly tells the story is its extraordinary special effects and cinematography. From the beginning of the film, the angles and camera movements make you feel as if you're experiencing Eloise's emotions, not just when she's at school, but her emotions of showing up in her dream, to sleep and arriving in her dream, to waking up and realizing that she's back to reality. So based off everything that has happened throughout the film and between emotions, cinematography, special effects, as well as creative storytelling and mind-bending twists, I'm going to give this film 3 out of 5 reels.
All right.
Well, that was honestly a pretty impressive story. I do have to admit, when I first saw the trailer, I was confused on the whole idea and what kind of film it was going to be, as well as wondering how it would do altogether. However, after watching it, I definitely have a better understanding, and please be sure to catch us again next week for more reviews on Reel to Reel.
That is exactly correct. Thanks for watching us, everybody. And be sure to follow us on our Facebook page. And we'll throw a graphic on the screen for you here real quick. And we hope to catch you next time. Alex Redding alongside Ian Rivers and alongside of our crew, thanking you all for joining us here on this episode of Reel to Reel. We'll see you later, everybody. Take it easy.